Bittick. Alicia said you had something to share with me.
I do. First off, I want to thank you for helping me get more equipment that's I find vital and necessary to complete our job safer. I asked you a few weeks ago about a situation at our precinct. I know our tasers in our pilot program, we didn't have too many at the time. When I was entering my shift, the tasers that were at the precinct, there was only 2 of them. They were already checked out by the other officers qualified. So it was leaving our shift short. I asked you about the equipment issue, and you made a promise to me. You said you would take care of it. About a week later, we had more tasers arrive at the precinct. So now I was able to go into my shift with all the equipment I find that is beneficiary and in the less lethal side of things. From there, it came to a situation where it had to be used, and if I didn't have that taser that you brought and helped us get, the outcome would have been significantly different.
So tell me what happened. I see that you brought a picture and an incident report, but reading the incident report, it doesn't really, it says that guy had a machete.
Right.
You tased him. He dropped a machete. You took him into custody. And he was telling you guys to shoot him.
Right.
So I mean, there's nothing spectacular here. Is there something else
right.
that you want to share about it?
Basically, it started out as a disturbance on an armed party call. As I arrived on scene, there was officers already on the scene. He was actually backing these officers up. They didn't have a good backdrop at the time. It was in front of a motel or a hotel, and there were people in the rooms, on the balconies, and the suspect at the time was waving this huge machete, breaking out windows, threatening everybody on the scene. And the officers that made the scene before me actually showed great restraint because they knew the backdrop at the time. He actually told me as I approached him with my taser that I was going to have to kill him. I was going to have to shoot him. And fortunately, I did have the taser on me that night because we had more come to the precinct. After I asked you and you provided it with us. So I gave verbal commands to the suspect. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous at the time. You got a big old machete about 2-3 feet long. And he said, I gave him verbal commands, told him to drop it. He said, F you. I said, I'm going to give you another chance, drop it. He said, you're going to have to shoot me tonight. And I said, okay. And I deployed the taser. It was a direct contact, one to the upper right chest, one to the lower right abdomen. He immediately felt the impact, fell over. From that point in time, I maintained control of him, threatening him. If he moves again, I would deploy the taser again. He immediately started following commands. We were able to disarm him from the machete, and it turned out to be there was no injuries. He had to go to the med, get the little prongs removed, but nothing major, and no officers or no civilians got injured. Right. So if it wasn't for that, I truly believe the outcome would have been completely different.
Well, the moral of the story is that you asked for something that you had
right.
need for. You told me your alpha shift, you get to work, the tasers are gone.
Right.
And originally I thought, I said, well, Bittick just wants to tase somebody.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? And I thought about it, and it took a few weeks. It wasn't immediate. I said, well, you know what? He asked for it. And then you caught me after I got promoted and said,
right.
hey, what are you going to do? So you put me on the spot. I said, well, okay, I guess I can't say I got to get permission.
Right.
Made a phone call to Lieutenant Oliver. So really, here's the deal. You asked, and I appreciate you stepping up. I just gave Lieutenant Oliver a phone call or an email, and he said, Chief, I'm going to make it happen. And he made it happen. So the credit really goes to you and Lieutenant Oliver. And Lieutenant Pugh for helping us get this taser
right.
pilot launched and off the ground. But I do have some good news for you that, through Lieutenant Oliver's persistence, this year we're going to equip all CIT officers that can go through the program
Right.
with a taser, so you're not going to have to
That'd be
worry
great.
about that. We started our pilot with pretty much two in every precinct. Limited number of tasers. Looks like the pilot's successful. And Alicia gave me a picture of this guy, and I have to say that he looks like a real bad guy. I'm not sure what's tattooed under his eyes.
I'm not sure. He said he just came from Mississippi, so I've never dealt with him before.
Yeah. So here's our nice guy with the tattoos under his eyeballs. He doesn't look like he was too happy. But again, here's what I tell the media all the time. Our officers are out risking their life every day, and there's a misconception that law enforcement is out to get the public, and that's just an outright lie.
Right.
And your situation is just one of many, of an example of what our officers are doing out there every day to keep the public safe, but to also not just use lethal force when they have to, but to apply less lethal force.
Right.
But so I appreciate you stepping up, one, being a CIT officer, the other, not being scared to approach me as a chief and then as the interim director and say, hey, I'm holding you responsible for our conversation, and then Lieutenant Oliver following up. But even after that, you get the equipment, you apply it the way you've been trained. We never hear about it. I even missed the incident report because I said, hey, here's another taser deployment. Sounds like it ended well, and thought nothing else about it. So
It's definitely not every day where you see somebody armed with a machete.
yeah, not in this country.
Right, exactly.
But it ended well, and I just want to commend you first for not being scared to stop and talk to Alicia. Did you get a picture of the taser? I mean,
They're about to send it.
Okay, I wish we had a picture of the machete because the DD told me you're saying it was a big long machete, and the other chief said it probably was a steak knife. But I do believe when you're facing something like that, I'm glad we can laugh about it on this end. But I just want to again commend you.
I appreciate that.
I want to present you with the MPD Challenge Card, and share with your other CIT officers.
Appreciate
do
that.
the right thing. But again, thank you for holding us accountable, and thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. Thank you.